another one that went really viral was his comments on the H1B visa. And I'm going to play what he had to say. And I want but I think maybe an unpopular view on this. I actually kind of agree with the president, but let's talk about it. Hold on.
Does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing and very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
So, I don't know. I don't think that's insane. I don't think, okay, so there's this entire debate happening online about the H-1B visa. Specifically, now look, I will say this, and I think this is all what is currently frustrating me right now with this administration right now, because I'm going to tell you flat out, I'm a little annoyed. I'm a little frustrated. Same. Do I regret that I voted for them? Absolutely not. No. So don't even be no, I don't. Okay. But I'm also not a lemming, and I'm going to point out when I have a problem. And so my problem here is, particularly on this issue, is Trump is great at messaging and he's horrible at messaging at the same time. So he's great at very simple messaging. We talk about the memes and how he'll get a good catchphrase and he'll break things down and make it real simple. But then when you get into something that's a little bit more complex and complicated, because he's just so brash and honest, he's like, no, we don't have smart people here. No. And then I'm like, well, that's not what he means. And that is, first of all, the debate that's happening online is we can't just have all of these people when we can give these jobs to Americans. And yes, it does get abused. Yes, H-1B needs to be revised. Absolutely. I do not think H-1B should be used for an accountant versus, I don't know, a nuclear scientist. Those two things are completely different. I don't think it should. I think there should be a law that you can't pay them less than you would offer to a U.S. citizen. So I think reforms are definitely needed. But in my personal opinion, it is clear because the college education situation, you would be naive to think that over the last, 20 years, 15 years, that we might have more educated people, but what are they educated in? Is my question.
Well, it used to be, I don't know, part of me thinks that this is just what the end of history thesis after the Cold War ended, where it's just we're just going to make America incrementally better, which doesn't mean GDP growth. I mean, maybe it does if we're outsourcing things to China, but it doesn't mean we're just going to take what we've got here, be content with 2% growth, like Obama said, and we're just going to redistribute so marginalized peoples are more equitable, and then we're going to make up new groups of marginalized peoples, and that's just kind of what we're going to do, and that's what the world is. Thank God, in a way, we are now entering a period of great power competition again, where it's oh no, actually, we're not producing nearly as many weapons as we need to, and we need people to just do that. We don't need to retrain people to, we don't have 5 years time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to
it's the same thing too with AI. It's just if we want to really win this war on AI, if we want to increase our supply in weapons, in defense, of course we can offer these jobs to Americans. That should be our priority. And I don't think we should have H-1B policies that undermine the employment of American citizens. But I also don't think that we should be absolutely not. Especially I'm thinking, I don't know, what I think is pretty pragmatically, like, if there is some super scientist, and I think that's the thing. Like, again, I don't think it should be an accountant. I think it should be someone exceptional. And if there's someone exceptional over in India or China or Bangladesh, I don't even care where, but I would prefer that they're here doing stuff for us versus that they're over there being a brainchild for China or Russia or, whoever. And so this absolute idea of absolutely no H1B, I was like, why don't we have a discussion instead of like what the H1B is and how we can improve it? And also, let me also point out that he put a price tag on the H1B of what is it, $100,000?
$100,000, yeah.
So
So yeah, so just get rid of H-1Bs for entry-level jobs. Totally.
yeah,
And that is basically a tax. I think he might end up lowering that, but that's a tax that makes it so that, yeah, you're not gonna spend $20,000 on an entry-level person, but you are going to spend that on a nuclear scientist. And I think
yeah,
that fixes the problem. There's a ton of H-1B abuse. I think what this really comes down to is, like, right now, the right and the left are both in search of a boogeyman for, like, society's problems, and the right is pinning it on immigrants. Used to be just illegal immigrants. Now it's a lot of, like,
yeah,
all of
in
them.
general.
And then the left, it's corporations and billionaires and the monocause, you know?